Hello, I'm sorry I can't be with you in person, but it's my pleasure to introduce Heather Camlot, winner of this year's Youth Award, for her wonderful book, The Prisoner and the Writer. The Prisoner and the Writer is a powerful middle grade story of the Alfred Dreyfus affair. In 1895, Captain Alfred Dreyfus was accused of treason against France. He was tried, he was convicted, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment on Devil's Island. The writer, Emile Zola, who at the time was a very prominent writer, risked his career by writing a letter, an open letter, to the French press, J'accuse, accusing the military of convicting Dreyfus on trumped-up charges. The Dreyfus affair and the anti-Semitism that spawned it are introduced in a beautiful verse and illustrations in this book. This book is a reminder that a person committed to truth, justice, and equality must stand up and speak for what they believe in and can make a difference. Heather, Yasher Koach on a job well done. And now it's your turn to speak. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Rona. And this is all very overwhelming on the best of days, but with the world where it is right now, even more so. To be honored for a book that stands up and speaks out against anti-Semitism, about a stranger who stands up and speaks out for another. Thank you to the Jewish Literary Award, the Canadian Jewish Literary Awards for this gift, to the sponsors and donors and jury who had a great many wonderful children's books to discuss and consider, some by friends and colleagues. I thank you for selecting The Prisoner and the Writer. I received an email from my publisher at Groundwood Books a few days ago. Karen Lee, who's at the Frankfurt Book Fair right now, wrote, "I just want to send you a virtual hug and to tell you how proud I am of the work you do to keep the focus on anti-Semitism and keep pushing hope and kindness and optimism into the world." And this really broke me. The funny thing is, I started writing because I wanted to create something that my reluctant reader of a son would maybe want to read. That turned out to be a novel by the name of Clutch, very loosely inspired by my father growing up in the Jewish ghetto of Montreal in the 1940s. It's hard to write about the Jews in the 1940s and not have a connection to the Holocaust. It's also hard to write about Montreal in the 1940s and not have a connection to one of the city's proudest moments, Jackie Robinson breaking baseball's color barrier with the Montreal Royals. Anti-Semitism, hope, kindness, and optimism, it checked all the boxes. I met Karen 5 years ago when I sent a picture book to Owl Kids, where she was editorial director at the time. It was just phrases about alternatives to war, like soldiers fighting with pillows and water balloons, and she loved it. And then she told me it wasn't for the picture book crowd. But Karen, being brilliant, said, "What if you wrote it as a middle grade nonfiction book?" And I, like any other author who had all of one novel under her belt, said, "What?" I've now published 4 middle grade nonfiction books thanks to Karen, including The Prisoner and the Writer, which also started out as a picture book, I might say. Most of these books talk about social change and advocacy, and in some way, big or small, anti-Semitism. I've never really been an advocate, except for my children, but something happened during that very first novel that set me on this course. I was still writing for the people who inspire me every day, my beautiful daughter and son. But I was somehow writing for me, like I was discovering who I was, who I am, and maybe who I was always afraid to be. Madeleine L'Engle, the author, once said, "You have to write the book you have to write the book that wants to be written. And if the book will be too difficult for grown-ups, then you write it for children." The Prisoner and the Writer is a difficult subject for adults and children, But change starts with children. My first introduction to the Dreyfus Affair was as a teenager. I used to watch a lot of late night movies, and I saw the movie The Life of Émile Zola. It made a real impact on me, maybe because it was about anti-Semitism and hope and kindness and optimism. I'm just going to read a quick passage of The Prisoner and the Writer. I'll hold it up for Anna. We start here in 1897, sorry. While sitting on a hard bench at a school-sized desk, Alfred can read and reread the censored letters and collections of books sent by his wife, but he can't talk to anyone. He is the only prisoner on the island, a prison built just for him. What did he do? While sharing a meal at a senator's home, Émile can hear the story of the army captain sent away forever for betraying his country. He can imagine using the thrilling story in a novel, but he can't imagine that after all these years, this case is one huge, horrible mistake. How can that be? A spy for Germany, a traitor to France, a dirty Jew, certain French newspapers assure readers. An honorable man, a patriotic soldier, a victim of anti-Semitism, the French senator's guests assure Émile. Who is right? Who is wrong? At the lowest point of his life, Alfred has nothing left to lose. Guards follow him wherever he goes. They watch him day and night, even when he's chained to his bed, unable to move, unable to sleep. The prisoner can't stop the swarm of mosquitoes feeding on his skin, the insects eating his books, the poisonous spider crabs crawling in through the holes of his hut, the thoughts of death. At the height of his career, Émile has everything to lose. Thoughts haunt him wherever he goes. The more the writer delves into the prisoner's story, the more certain he is of the truth, the facts, so plain to see. An innocent man, a wrongful conviction, a biased press, a complete and total injustice. But if he fights for Alfred's release, the writer can say goodbye to the career he's built, the support of his fans, the life he's created, and quite possibly the life he breathes. When I read that to students, I then ask them, what will he do? I ask them, what would you do? And I ask myself, what would I do? I want to thank, of course, Karen Lee, mon amie Sophie Casson, an illustrator so incredible that she could bring to life the story about two middle-aged men who have been dead for 90 years and more. This is our book. Thank you to Groundwood Books and to Kirsten, who is here as a representative today. I have a whole bunch of friends here today, which is amazing. My critique group, Loretta and Jillian, you make me better every day. My mentor, author Gary Schmidt, who pushes me with kindness and humor. My friends, Charlene and Marcia, and my friend Sherry, who's not here, you all make me feel like I can do anything. My husband, Mark, and my kids, Juliana and Alex. I couldn't do any of this without you. Your questions, your honesty, your love. And I don't know what I would do without you in my life. My mom and brother, who are in Montreal, cheering me on as they always do, and to my dad, who passed away before Clutch, the book he inspired, was published. I know he'd be proud, and I know he'd figured out a way to take credit. Thank you again to the Canadian Jewish Literary Awards. Author Neil Gaiman once said, "A book is a dream that you hold in your hands." This book is a dream. I dream of a world without anti-Semitism or any kind of negative ism. A world where strangers don't tear people down, but stand up and speak out for one another simply because, like Émile Zola and Alfred Dreyfus, it's the right thing to do. Thank you.